Hi, this is Karen O'Brien, and we are going to continue our training package by building this channel into our project. So I'm going to have to do something real quick because this is a completed channel, so I have to replace it. But we're going to get up to this step and then pause the video. So let me close this down, and I'll show you what I do to kind of get back to that original project. So this is the channel with the project in it. I am going to right click and let's go ahead and show more options. 7-zip. We want to compress this to Coastal 2D Training, but we want to rename this as, it's not channel complete, but it's, let's see, channel lines complete, so that we have a backup of that. So then I can delete that, and let's pop that into the backup folder. And you see here that I have the backups that have been finished for each of these. So create a grid is complete, hydrology is complete, boundary conditions is complete, and then channel lines complete. But of course, we're going to redo that. So what I want to do is just extract the boundary lines complete. So go show more options, 7-zip, and extract here. Or you can just use your standard Windows extraction tools. If you don't use 7-zip, I'll copy that, and that goes back here in the normal location. And then of course we can open that in QGIS. So let me grab QGIS and we'll load this project. And let's grab the Coastal 2D Training, and I'll just drag that here and minimize that and click yes to load it, and hopefully everything will be good. Okay, it's telling me that it was created by an older version of QGIS. I think that's okay. We'll just stay on this version. It shouldn't hurt anything. And what you may have seen in some of the other lessons is that I have grouped some of these like files. So I'm going to prep the map by closing some of these groups and that we're not going to use. And I'm also going to add the Google map. So I want to use the Google Hybrid, and that will add the Google map. That went to the wrong spot. So give me 1 second to see where that went. That should have gone to the bottom, but it didn't. So give me a sec to move it to the bottom. There's probably an easier way to filter this by name so that you can get to that quickly, but I haven't figured it out. I know it's in front on top of my elevation layer because I can't see my elevation layer. All right, let's try that again. Let's see. Oh, I bet it's in here. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and, so we aren't actually, probably aren't going to use that, but I just wanted to show you how to load it because it's about time to load it. And then I'll just go ahead and zoom back to the comp domain. And we're going to be building the channel you saw when I opened this, when this project was opened. So in order to do that, we're going to be following these instructions here. So we did the prepare the map. So we use Quick Map Services to bring in Google Hybrid. We have make sure that our elevation raster is on and that it's set to hillshade so we can clearly determine the banks. And then of course we simplify the layers. So we collapsed boundary, we collapsed storm drain. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and group your boundary, group your storm drain into here, group the things that you aren't going to be needing into not used. This is a very good time to do that. All right, now let's just go ahead and read some of these disclaimers. The aerial image and LiDAR maps help define the left bank and right bank positions, and they help determine where cross sections are needed. Sometimes the LiDAR works really good for this, and other times the LiDAR is not very useful because in South Florida, you know, most of the map is covered with water, so LiDAR doesn't work. So sometimes it's better to use the aerial to determine where to put your cross sections and where to put your left and right banks. So I typically use them both. Now we need to load the data. So important, the data that we're about to import is template data. Okay, I built these templates to keep the class moving at a good pace, and to reduce errors. So they're not typically needed in general. In general, you would just do this work in the channel layers, but because we're in a class and we're all working together, I kind of made these templates to simplify things. So the instructions are to click the channel group in the user layers and then drag the channel template files onto the map. Okay, then we'll get down to step 3. So let's do that real quick. If you go to your Coastal 2D training and in the project data, you'll see that you have a channel folder, and we want the ones that are .shp. So if I sort by type, they should all go together. I want the cross sections, the left bank, and the right bank, and I'll just drag those onto the map. And then just for the sake, oh, sorry, I wanted those to come into the channel group. And then for the sake of the tutorial being the same, I just want those in the same order. So you see that our right bank template is going to be used to build this line. Our left bank template is going to be used to build this line, and our cross sections template will be used to build this. In addition to that, we'll show you some of the methods that you can use to do this kind of channel digitizing on your own. All right, so the first thing, let's go back. Well, let's not the first thing. Let's go back to the next step. So the next step is to digitize the left bank. So normally to digitize a channel, you would select the left bank line layer and then add a channel feature to it. But that process is really slow and it can lead to errors that we don't have time to troubleshoot that in a live class. So instead we're going to use my template, but I still want to show that method. And what I've done here is I've created an animated GIF. And if you open the GIF in a new window, it will start it back over at 0. And you can see me build this channel. So you'll see that goes left bank line, and then it creates the edit button and then add a feature. And then I'll zoom in and start creating that left bank feature. And you see that the LiDAR data helps you pretty clearly define that left bank. Also note that I'm kind of crossing each of those cross sections. So this gives you an idea on how to do that. I'm going to pause, or I'm going to close this so that instead we can use the other method, the alternate method. So it says, please proceed to the faster method so we keep on schedule. So let's use the left bank template to build our line. So we're going to select the left bank template layer and we're going to copy the feature in that layer. Okay, and then we're going to select the left bank lines and open the editor, paste the feature, and then save it, and then we'll deselect those selected layers. And then the next step will be to do that in same exact process on the right bank. So let's start with the left bank. So again, we'll be selecting this layer, and then you should see these selection tools. I'm going to move these so that they're a little bit closer to our data so we can see them. So I'll click on this one, and then if I just drag across all these layers, you can see that it selected that one and turned it bright yellow. I'm going to hit Control-C on my keyboard to copy that. Then I want to activate the left bank lines by clicking on it and turning it blue. Click the Edit button. Control-V will paste one feature into that layer. Save, turn off the editor, and then deselect the group. Now, if you look here and I turn this off, you can see that our left bank is in the right layer. Let's do the same process on the right bank layer, okay? Right bank template, click and drag to select it. Control-C will copy it. Go to the right bank line, open the editor. Control-V will paste it. Save it and turn it off, and now we no longer need this right bank template. So as you can see, that is just a faster way to move the class along. Now let's go back to our tutorial to read some of these notes. Oh, also there's a little GIF. So it gives you the step-by-step instructions, but also there's a little GIF right here in case you didn't quite get what was going on in the instructions. And then of course you're watching the video. So there's 3 different ways to kind of follow along with this class. Okay, so important, remember the copy paste method is just used to keep the class on schedule. In your future projects, you can add a feature to the left bank layer instead of the copy paste method. And if you come over here to the advanced training models, there should be advanced channel. Here we go. To the advanced channel modules, it'll show you that full process. So it can show you how to do that. And there's a lot of great information in here on building channels. All right. Now we did the exact same thing with the right bank. So I'm just going to skip this part, but just see that all the instructions are there. And then cross sections. Let's see. Yeah, cross sections, the same thing. Now listen, we have the fast method, which is step 5, but we also have the digitized method, which is the slower method. Now, obviously for the class, we want you to use the fast method, but if you want to review the slower method, we left it in here just so that you could see it in action. You could see how it works. So let's skip back to the fast method. And let's try this. So what we want to do is use these Flow2D widgets to add the fast method. So we collapse the widgets and then open the cross-section editor and then click the digitize button. Okay, that's over here. My widgets are already collapsed, but I'm going to just show you anyway. This is the collapse button here. And then open the cross-section editor and then click the add digitize button, add a cross-section button. You can ignore that message that just came up. Now, we aren't going to actually digitize anything because all of our cross sections are right here in this layer. So if I select this layer, did you note that this is no longer the active layer? And note that its editor pencil is still on. And you should also note that there are some SQL triggers, some database triggers that are linked to this table, and that's why we used this button instead of another editing method. So what we'll do here is we need to select all of these cross sections. So what I want to do is I want to change, select feature, select all features, and as you see, it did that. It selected them all. So select all features is now that active button, and I have all the features selected. That's why they turned bright yellow. Now I'm going to copy them. Control C will copy them, and then go to the cross-section layers and Control V, and you see that 24 features were pasted. All right. Now we want to come over here and use this save button, because this save button will save the edits to the layer. This save button will save the edits and then trigger the widget and the data filling process. So save here. And as you can see, the widgets have now turned on. Okay, so now what I have is an individual cross section for each of those cross sections that I published in. See, an individual cross section for each one, 24 cross sections. And each of the cross sections have some placeholder data to act so that their tables are activated. So we have 24 cross sections and 24 tables right now. All right, let's get back here to the tutorial to see what to do next. Okay, so we digitize across, or we turned on the editor. We copied all the features and pasted them into the cross section. Then we hit Control V on our cross section to paste them. Now we save button. Note the cross sections are loaded into the widget, and then deselect all the features. Let me do that real quick. I'm going to use this button to deselect all of the features. We don't want those features selected. And come back here. So we deselect the features, and then if you wanted to see that process as an animation, you could see it here. Obviously, this is not very easy to see. So if you right click and you open it in a new tab, you can see that it's a much better picture to review as you're trying to do this process. All right, now the next step will be to digitize the cross section, or sorry, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is actually the step we're going to skip. This is the slow method. So it said this is the method you would use to create a cross-section on your own channel. It has more detail and instructions. Review it, but please use the fast method for the live class. So it's going to do things a little bit differently. It's going to zoom into the beginning of the channel, uncheck the grid layer. If that hasn't already been done, you can just uncheck schema layers. You don't have to uncheck the grid layer, just uncheck them all. And then you come here and it tells you to change the cross sections template to a darker color so that you can see it a little easier. And it shows you to turn on the snapping tool. So you can use your snapping tool to get those cross sections perfectly aligned to the template. Right here shows you how to configure the snapping tool. And then over here, it's going to be the same thing. You open the cross section editor and it gives you some instructions about the cross sections. For the first cross section, upstream, the line must cross the left bank line and it must start in the same cell as the left bank line. Same thing with the right bank line. It must cross the right bank line and it must start in the same cell as the right bank line. I'm going to show you that real quickly. Let me turn these on and you can see that indeed it crosses the line and starts in the same cell. So add the cross section button, and then in this case what it tells you to do is it shows you this GIF is it tells you to click the south side, which is the left bank, and then click the north side, which is the right bank, and then close the line with the right click and hit the enter key to continue. I'm going to open this in a new tab so that we can see this in action. So click, click, right click, and then I just hit enter. Go to the next one, click, click, right click, and then I hit enter. And you do that for all 24 in order from upstream to downstream. And if you didn't have these cross-section templates, you just do that where you thought you needed a cross-section. All right, handy digitizing tools. Left click will drop a point. Right click will close a polyline or a polygon. Rotate the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Click and hold the scroll wheel to pan. Also, you can use the arrow keys to pan. The delete key will delete the last vertex you created. The escape key will cancel the polygon or polyline in case you messed it up. And escape in case you clicked another point and you don't want it to. Escape will kind of reset the polygon or polyline that you're working on. You'll just delete it and reset it. The point will not drop until the mouse button is released. So if you click the mouse and you kind of put the point in the wrong spot, just move the mouse and then release it to drop the point. And redo and undo have a limited functionality, so you would do a Control-Z to redo. I don't know what the shortcut is to undo, but let me show you some of those real quick. So my roller wheel zooms in and out. I'm clicking and holding the center wheel to pan. I'm using the arrow keys to pan, up, down, left, right, up, down. Those are the arrow keys. Let's see what were a few more of those. And then the rest of these are kind of like things that are going on when you're digitizing. So let me just do something kind of just digitize a line here just to quickly show you. So whoops. So if you do this, you click to add a line and you can see that I'm clicking vertices. And then if I mess one up because I cross it, I just hit the delete key. And then if I mess up the entire line, like say for example, I hit the right key accidentally before I close that, I just cancel this. Or if I'm clicking away like a mad little person and I totally mess something up, I hit escape and it'll also delete the line. Control-Z has a minor limited functionality. It can undo something that you've pasted. So use Control-Z carefully when you're digitizing. I'm going to turn off that. Oh, and then like as you're digitizing, let me show you what I mean. So as you're clicking along, see, I can't click here. So I click and drag and then I can keep going. And then again, I will escape to cancel that. And if you really mess up, like I do this all the time. So if you really mess something up, you just close the editor and that will undo all of the edits and then you should be good to go. So I'm going to turn that back off so we can see these two. And let's see. Now, so that kind of shows you how to copy over your cross sections, and it shows you how to copy your cross sections, shows you how to make your left bank, shows you how to make your right bank. So the final step will be to remove these 3 layers because we no longer need them. We don't want to accidentally be modifying them. So I'm going to remove those, and now you can see that this is our digitized channel. And I think that is the end Oh, cross-section attributes and then the next video. Okay, let me show you that real quick. So cross-section attributes. So you can edit and modify all of these attributes. You can edit the name, you can edit the type, or you can edit the end value from the widget, but that's really tedious when you have hundreds of cross sections. So instead of doing that, you can right click, open the attribute table, and you can do your edits in this table editor. So what I'm going to do is just change my end value. I'm going to click the editor button and then change the end value, change to the end value column. And we'll make this, let's make this 0.035. And then I'll click update all, and then I'll save and then turn the editor off. And then the next time that you select one of these, you see that it will be updated here. 0.035 was updated in this table. So it's an excellent way to, quickly modify data. Okay, that is the end of this video. So the next video will continue to adding the cross-section data to these lines.